Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
This is Whitetail Rendezvous episode number 181. On today's show, you'll hear from Scott Anderson. Scott lives down south, loves to hunt and fish. He's going to talk about overcoming. Yes, he had muscular dystrophy at the age of 15, but he's got some tools to get back in the field or on the water.
Hey, listeners, don't forget to text 33444 Food Plot for your free Food Plot ebook. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. This is your host, Bruce Hutchin, and I'm happy and pleased to head down to Louisiana. Why? Because we had snow here yesterday in Colorado, so I think it's warmer down there. We're going to connect with Scott Anderson, and he is the executive director of Handicapped Outdoors. Scott, welcome to the show.
Hello, Bruce. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, let's just jump right into it and talk about Handicapped Outdoors.
Yes.
How did that come about, and why are you just growing exponentially with readers?
It's a funny thing when you pair what you love with what's necessary. Great things can take place. And so, growing up, I grew up in a family that fished. We hunted not as seriously as we fished, but I loved to hunt. And I stopped hunting. I found out that I had muscular dystrophy, a type called FSH Muscular Dystrophy, when I was just 15 years old. And needless to say, it kind of jerked the rug out from underneath me. I didn't quite know how to handle that. It took me a few years of awkward to get my brain wrapped around, okay, this is what it is, this is what I need to be, and this is where I need to go. So during all that, I really just fished a whole lot. I didn't hunt. When I went to college, I basically stopped hunting and just kind of fished and did that thing. But about 3 or 4 years ago, my wife discovered that she had a brother. And just kind of out of the blue. It was very odd. But this guy loves to hunt. And he said, you're very good and you should get back into this. And so he got me back into the hunting gig, so to speak. But Handicapped Outdoors was birthed out of that. He said, you're so good at communicating, you ought to begin to write a blog. And so I just began writing a blog for people who don't think of themselves as handicapped at all, that they think of themselves as handicapable. They just need to know how and what to do to get back out into the field and on the water.
Okay, you just coined a new phrase I hadn't heard it before, handy-capable. Let's expand that, and let's jump into the mental attitude, because I know in the warm-up we talked about sometimes doctors think they know everything, and if you're a doctor listening to this, please forgive me, but I'm serious, because there's sometimes you know everything you know, and I'm happy for that, because you help a lot of people, but sometimes you can't know everything. Like, I don't know everything about whitetail hunting. I don't. I learn something new every day. So let's talk about handy-capable and some of the barriers that you had to break down and some of the mental attitude that you had to throw at yourself to make you the person that you are and the husband that you are and the father that you are.
Well, first of all, it has to come down to this. It's your personal choice. Your life, God is a wonderful person, and he is sovereign and all those wonderful things, but he also gives us free will. And he very much gave us the ability to pick and choose our attitude. It's one of the only things that we get to pick and choose in life. And so when you get handed what to everybody else is just a line of defeat and depression and all of that, and doctors, unfortunately, they don't have very good bedside manners, so they don't know the psychology of things. They tell you what's wrong. They don't exactly tell you what to do with it. And so I very quickly, I've always been a winner, and so very quickly I said, this can't beat me. I've got to choose to beat this. That I'm not going to be told this is the lifestyle you're going to have now. This is the limitations that you're going to have. Although some of those things have come true, I've just chosen to say, how can I get over those? What are the ways around those obstacles? And how can I use the obstacle to my advantage rather than to take me down, so to speak. So mentally, you have to get to that place where you just say, enough's enough and I'm going to continue my life. life. After I was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy, I learned how to play tennis. I learned how to play racquetball. I learned how to play golf. 3 sports that I'd never played in my life up to that point. I was a pretty serious football player and pretty good basketball player, but all that was out the tubes. It was all gone. And so I began focusing on things that I could do for the rest of my life, fishing being one of them. So it was a place for me to win. I caught the biggest fish of my life after I was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy because my focus went. And so when you focus on winning, guess what you do? You win. That's what you do.
I agree. Let's talk about how this whole season of your life, let's just call it that, helped you become a better hunter.
Okay.
And how I'd like you to give some advice, some folks out there, somebody that hasn't listened to your blog, and let's stop right there and tell people how to get a hold of you or how to read your blog, just social media and then your blog, of course.
If you just go and Google, we're always going to be on the first page. If you go in and you type in Handicapped Outdoors or even Handicapped Outdoors, it doesn't matter. We're still going to be on the first page, and so you'll see it towards the top. I promise. It's one of the best ones out. And so and then also I have learned to use Google Plus and Google Communities to my advantage. So if you're in some of the hunting and or fishing communities on Google Plus, you will likely routinely see me posting my blog articles in there. And then you could also follow us via Twitter at use the @ symbol. Handicap Out is they don't give you enough characters to make outdoors, so it's Handicapped Out, all one thing. And you can catch us in a number of different avenues.
Facebook? Do you have a Facebook account?
We do. And again, if you Google Handicapped Outdoors, you're going to see that fast. And once you get to the website, we have a feed that goes to the Twitter and Facebook.
Instagram?
No, I'm not. I don't have enough time.
I understand.
I only have so much time to do social media, and so I never chose to do Instagram simply because I just don't.
All right. So let's back up the 90 seconds or so, and we're going to talk about, hunting and how that's helped you overcome, and then you're going to give some stuff off of your blog to help people that are facing some of the same things that you are and are listening to the show because they love the hunt, but they're up against it. So, take 5 minutes or so and let's hear what you get to say.
Sure. One of the things that I think hunting and disability, and here's the deal, we got to simplify what we mean when we say disability. I look at disabilities as being anything from disease, handicap, all the way to military, people coming back, missing a limb, not having the ability that they once had, all the way up to elderly who grew up hunting, loving to be in the outdoors, and now they find themselves at an age where maybe that's not as easy. And so my blog really is focused on all of the above on that. I try to give people tools and information to help everything from aging dad all the way down to, I have a kid that's my cousin or whatever that happens to be handicapped, how to get them back out into the field. But the first thing is that hunters are determined. Anybody that's hunted for any amount of time can know that it's called hunting, not killing on purpose. You have to be very patient. You have to be diligent. You have to practice all the time. It has to be something that, particularly if you use archery, I love to use crossbow to deer hunt and to be in the outdoors. I love the stealth. I love the intimacy that it brings to hunting. But having said that means there's a lot of afternoons that you don't get to take the shot. You don't get to do the thing. And I think with having a disability and losing certain capabilities very early on in my life, at age 15 on, I began losing abilities to run and walk normally and do all that stuff. It taught me to be diligent, to be patient, and that if somebody waits long enough and prepares long enough, that when the moment comes, you're ready and you can get it.
Now, do you hunt tree stands or you stay on the ground?
Yeah, I do
ground blinds.
Ground blinds, pop-up stands. We are actually going to make some hay bale blinds. We have a new 90-acre piece this year that we're very excited about, that we're going to be building some accessible handicapped style hay bale blinds that are very good. We actually built a box blind this last year that had a kind of a 45-degree angle face on it, so I could look out of 3 viewpoints and be able to see almost 180 degrees, not quite, but I had a much greater view of the wilderness that I've had. The pop-up blinds sometimes sometimes can be very, very limiting.
Yes, they can. And I'm looking up Jimmy Darkwood's. I'll find that and add to it. I wanted to give him a shout because he does some really neat things with box blinds and double blinds and such. And so that's a guy I'm making a note to talk to Jimmy.
Excellent.
And that might be something interesting because you really don't think about people not being able to get over a threshold.
That's exactly right. I mean, most of the wheelchairs that people are in, if they're going to drive their car with them or they're going to be in office space, they're not exactly built to be out. And so many of them have a threshold limit they're going to be able to jump. And so we use simple ramps, things like that we just create. And it's very simple, but it gets the job.
Well, yeah, that's for sure. And let's talk about, okay, you use a crossbow. I use a crossbow because I've got new parts and stuff. But when you went to using a crossbow, do you use sights with it or use a scope, or how's it set up?
I use a scope. Again, when I was younger, I shot open sights and loved doing things that way. But with shot placement being so important on a deer, I mean, you want to, we're hunters, and yes, we do kill, but we like to kill humane. And so when I take an animal, I want to be able to pinpoint where I'm hitting that animal. And so I use a scope. Again, we practice with it a lot so that I stay on point with it, know exactly what I'm doing, different yardages, that type of thing. Even to the point where my brother-in-law, he'll just move a target around, and I'll just have to kind of guesstimate so that you get a good, true feel for what's going to be out there in the woods. So it's not like a deer's going to walk up to 20 yards and go, hey, here I
am. We wish.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I'm at 30 out here, okay?
Yeah, no, he's got a digital sign on the side.
Right.
50, 30, right. 28, exactly. 28 and 0.5.
Hold off right here.
Yeah.
So hold high.
That's fun.
He's not going to do that. So we actually, and I encourage anybody that's listening to this podcast, when you're shooting, don't just shoot 20, 30, 40. After you've done those and you get used to where your scope is, you need to just have someone put a variable out. So, because that's real hunting. If you're not practicing real world, you get in the woods, all of a sudden you make a bad shot.
And I'll throw my 2 cents worth in on that. Here's an easy drill. So you got to get your scope set up or your pin set up. You got to get it set up. And everybody just, it's 20, 30, 40. You want to know exactly where your arrow or your bolt's going to go. Boom. Then after you get it all set up, then what I do, I start out at 40 and I take 5 steps, set up and shoot. Shut my eyes again, take 10 steps, stop and shoot. So I sort of kind of know the distance because you would too, because you've been ranging that tree from the tree stand forever. You've been ranging that blade of grass from your ground blind forever. So you sort of kind of know, but all of a sudden if you get surprised and you go, oh, he's close. Well, you don't want to think. You just want to breathe, get on him, pull the trigger pull the release, right?
The other thing I would encourage people on this particular point of interest is during the off season, like right now, this is a great time. You don't want to mess up your hunting area, but last time I checked, nobody can legally kill a deer, right? So this is a great time to take a 3D target to the area that you like to hunt. Just spend one afternoon kind of taking some practice shots at that area. After 2 weeks, those deer coming back. You can go, when you go out and put feeder stuff out, you put nutritional pellets out, whatever. Those deer are used to smelling. It's not like you're going to really mess them up by going and taking practice shots on one afternoon in your hunting locale. And again, I would encourage you to use a 3D target, something that looks just like a deer, quartering away, quartering to, using several different setups in your hunting zone so that you get a feel for what it's going to be just like in those few short months. And strangely enough, we're only 1, 2, 4, 5 months away from October. We're right here already. And people don't realize how quick that comes back around. So this is a great time to do it. Don't just shed hunt. Get out there and put the 3D target out and take some shots.
Yeah, I love that. Lessons learned or tips, techniques. So guys and gals, you heard it first from Whitetail Rendezvous. I'll just take that one off the plate. Thanks for teeing it up, Scott.
Yeah.
Let's talk about family. You had to have some challenges, and everybody does. I have challenges because, fortunately, I've got a great life of 46 years, and something happens to me when August rolls around, and she knows that it's hunting season. She can put up with the fly fishing because I don't do that as intensely. Offshore fishing, I just do that a couple times a year. But
offshore,
yeah, we could do a whole show on that. And maybe I will have a podcast on that someday. But anyway, let's get back to hunting. But she knows when August comes, because she sees me shooting my rifles, shooting my bow or crossbow now, and she sees me tinkering with my gear and making sure everything's right, taking out my clothes, making sure I still fit in them. So she knows what's going to happen. And she just goes, oh, my goodness.
Right.
Tell me when and where are you going to be home? And, and so it's worked.
How bad will you smell, right?
Yeah, and all that. So take a few minutes here. We've got some time left on the show to talk about family, hunting, and balance.
Yeah, hunters can be a little bit compulsive. I know that is a shocking state, but we can be a little on the addictive side, and we like to take it to the nth degree. Having some balance in there, just if you will take the time to plan the way you do a hunt, in the process embed some days, some nights, even a weekend or two here and there, where you're going to take the wife out, you're going to spend some real quality time with the family. It goes a long, long way. My wife she's a cheerleader at heart, and so she loves it when I'm bringing deer meat in. She loves it when I'm providing for the family in that regard. So she's not as troubled with the hunting. It's when it's all the time, and I'm not giving any time back to her, or I'm not spending time with my 3-year-old child. He's all boy and he needs his daddy, and we can be very selfish in staying out in the deer stand all the time. But I try to make sure that I pick and choose. There's certain days where I'm just not. We go to church on Sundays. That's going to be sacred time. There's not going to be too many Sundays in the year that I'm going to sacrifice to not be with my family in that arena. There's going to be certain Friday nights that I'm going to make sure I go to the football game the high school that I teach at. That we're going to be there supporting those kids, and I'm going to have a date night with my wife on those times. So just being smart and putting as much energy and effort, and let her see it. Let her see that you're spending as much time planning for her as you are for the hunt that's coming up. That sends a huge message to your spouse that you are an avid hunter, but you also are an avid husband. And boy, is there any more noble thing to do than to be an avid husband?
Nope. Let's talk about the long lost brother, and it seems from just the warm up and the things you've said that you got a special relationship with him. So let's spend a little time on that.
He is the chairman of our board. Of our nonprofit. Handicapped Outdoors is a nonprofit, and Kyle came into our lives. He was adopted away when he was birthed. Back then, everything was very closed adoption. The mom didn't even see the boy. He was immediately taken away and went into adoption. Well, he sought his family out and found us about 5 years ago now, and it was just one of those strange things where as soon as he came back into our lives, it was a very special relationship. And he saw me and immediately began championing the challenge and the cause. He was like, I want to help you do everything you want to do. You want to fish, I'm going to help you fish. You want to hunt, I'm going to help you hunt. And so he was the one that said, I really think you should get a crossbow. I think you're really going to like it. And so one summer I spent very little money on a little crossbow made by Barnett called the RC 150. I got it at Academy. It was dirt cheap. It's not a very good crossbow per se, but I killed my first deer with it the next year. And once you do that, I just so hooked. And he's been right there every step of the way, helped do this, encouraging me to do it, to take the next step, to reach out to all kinds of different people in the outdoor community, because he knows that when they hear the story, when they hear my story, people for whatever reason feel inspired to get on board and to take the next step to help other people. And so we now partner with a group here in Shreveport, Louisiana called the Dream Hunt Foundation. They take kids that are terminally ill, handicapped, dystrophy, all those things. They take them hunting, help them tools like shooting rests, different implements that they need to kids outdoors. And really, he is to thank. It's my brother-in-law, Kyle Easton. He's the one thing. He really was the push back. This one I've loved every second.
I think along the line, to a man, to a lady, we always can go back to that one person or two people. Typically, it's one. My life, it was two men that mentored me and got me on my hunting journey, as I call it. And they're special people. And if you don't have somebody like that in your life, and you're looking for somebody like that, go find them, because they're there.
They are. They're out.
They're there. What do you think about that, Kyle? Jump on that.
Well, I think this, if you're around people, and if you're somebody who struggles with that, you need to work on it, because it doesn't matter what you know. It really matters who you know, because who you know will help you do what you really want to do. And so Kyle has meant the world to me. My dad grew up hunting for us, deer hunting, because this is Whitetail Rendezvous. Deer hunting was get out of the car, walk into the woods, sit underneath the tree, and pray to God something walks by. There was no rhyme or reason. I had no idea what I was doing when I got back into that. I always wanted to hunt. I didn't know what to do. And so Kyle took me not by the hand, because we're both men and we don't do that, but he took me and said, look, this is how it works. And we began cutting shooting lanes and putting in food and all those wonderful elements that now we have trail cams up and see deer. Every time we get the trail cam card back, we see deer. It's exciting. You may not shoot one each year because you're trying to shoot the right one, but you get to see deer. They're there. You know it's there. So it's very exciting. Long shot from what I grew up with. Well, none of that would be, I wouldn't have near the knowledge that I have now had it not been for this man taking an interest. Yeah, he is my brother-in-law, but he had to take time and energy and interest to say, you know what, I'm gonna take you out and help. And so there are lots of organizations out there. Wild Turkey, the Wild Turkey. What is the name of that thing? It's the
Wild Turkey Federation.
That's the exact one. The Wild Turkey National Federation. National Wild Turkey Federation. I think that's
exactly it.
All right, National Wild Turkey Federation. If you happen to be disabled or you know someone that is, they have hunts. I'm talking about deer hunts, not just turkey hunts. They have deer hunts where they will take somebody out and help them at almost no cost to them to get back in the field. And there's even organizations that will help you back on the water. So there are people out there. Reach out. Do what you need to do. You got to get out of the closet, get out of the house, and do your due diligence to get back out there as well. But once you hook up, I know for me, the church was always a great place. I met people all the time.
Hey, Scott, I just want to make a correction, because Brenda Valentine's a friend. She's been on the show, and she's on the board for the National Wild Turkey Federation. Oh. So I'm apologizing, to you, Brenda, and Marty Davis, and all my other good friends that are aligned with National Wild Turkey Federation. So sorry, my bad.
Well, okay. Let's say it again then, like this: the Wild Turkey Federation. Is that right?
National Wild Turkey Federation.
Wild Turkey. The National Wild Turkey Federation will take you hunting if you just connect. They have chapters in almost every state that I've ever heard of. They're an amazing organization, and it's almost at no cost to you.
Wow. Like we talked about in the beginning of the show, how quick 30 minutes goes, and we're there. So on behalf of Whitetail Rendezvous Nation all across North America, with the thousands of people who listen to our show on a weekly basis, thank you, Scott Anner, for sharing some of your story. And I look forward to having you back on Whitetail Rendezvous anytime you want, and bringing guests on or whatever you want to do, because you're the type of people that nobody will ever know the battles that they fought, but you fought them. And like you said, you've been a winner all your life, and it's just an honor to have you on the show, Shore.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the invite, and I look forward to being on the show again in the future.
Make sure to listen to our next episode, where you'll hear about 3D shooting, feeding big bucks, and keeping bucks on your property, from Travis Beck of Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.
Remember to text 33444 Food Plot for your free ebook